To be honest, I'm going to get plenty of criticism over my lifetime, and it's something that I don't completely ignore.
Early this morning, a mysterious flash drive showed up at Kensington Palace with a quiet but serious purpose. It wasn't handed over by any official courier, just slipped inside a plain envelope left right on William's private desk. No return address, no markings, nothing to show who sent it. Inside that drive were detailed files outlining a carefully crafted plan, mapped out step by step, and what it exposed was shocking. According to the contents, Meghan had allegedly been carrying out this plan for nearly 18 months, with a focus that directly involved William's family. Within just 3 hours of discovering the drive, William had already taken action, swiftly and decisively, setting off a chain of events that would completely change the Sussex situation forever. When William arrived at his office at exactly 7:53 a.m., earlier than usual, he immediately noticed the envelope waiting for him. It was cream-colored, made from high-quality paper, and had only his name printed in bold block letters on the front. His private secretary was baffled. No one knew where it came from, and even the security cameras showed nothing unusual. Someone with insider access had clearly placed it there on purpose, making sure it couldn't be missed. A silent but urgent message in plain sight. Cautiously, William opened the envelope, his instincts on high alert from years of living under tight security. Inside was a single black, unmarked flash drive and a small handwritten note on matching cream paper. The note was short, chillingly direct, and left no room for confusion. "You need to know what she's been planning for your children." The moment he read those words, everything changed. No name, no explanation, just one chilling sentence that carried a heavy, unspoken message. William's instincts kicked in instantly. His first call was straight to palace security. The flash drive had to be checked right away for anything dangerous before it could be opened on any palace system. About 40 minutes later, the tech team gave the all clear. No viruses, no hidden code, nothing harmful at all. What remained was a set of neatly arranged folders, each carefully labeled by date and subject, like someone had spent months organizing every piece. The main folder's title instantly caught his attention: Media Strategy, George, 18 and up. Inside were dozens of files describing moves that felt strategic, polished, and seriously bold. One particular email sent about 7 months earlier immediately stood out. In it, Meghan had allegedly written to a senior editor from a big American media outlet. "When George is old enough to have his own voice, he'll need people he can trust to tell his story without palace filters. Building that relationship now, even from afar, ensures he knows I'm an option when he's ready to speak his truth." William read that line not once, but 3 times. Each time, the meaning hit harder, the intent behind those words becoming clearer and more unsettling. This wasn't just about media coverage or simple interviews anymore. It looked like Meghan was setting up long-term connections with his family, trying to build a personal bridge that could one day make her the go-to person for their side of the story. Then came the next folder, Charlotte Outreach, 12 to 16, filled with notes that showed another calculated strategy, similar in tone but clearly customized. A third folder focused on Louis, though it was less developed because of his young age. Still, the same strategic layout ran through every file, every note, every plan. This wasn't Meghan casually wondering about William's kids. It was something way deeper. The files suggested she had been building a long-term strategy to position herself as a trusted figure in their lives, someone they might feel comfortable turning to as they got older, especially if life inside the palace ever became tense, much like what had once happened with Harry. William leaned back in his chair, his hands trembling slightly as he processed everything. For years, he had managed to stay calm through countless media stories painting him as stiff or distant, through criticism, and through the painful divide with his brother. But this, plans that seemed to involve his own children, felt like a line being crossed into a whole new kind of threat. William snatched up his phone and made 3 quick calls. First to Catherine, then to his private secretary, and finally to Princess Anne, asking her to meet within the hour. While waiting, he went through every single folder on that flash drive again, this time taking detailed notes and marking the most shocking points. Each new discovery only confirmed what he already knew. Big decisions were coming, and once made, there'd be no going back. By 9:45 a.m., Catherine arrived, visibly tense and anxious. 15 minutes later, Princess Anne stepped in with her usual sharp focus and no-nonsense attitude. William looked at both of them with the kind of calm that comes only when your mind's already made up. He was ready to show exactly how a future king acts when the people he loves and has sworn to protect might be at risk. As the 3 of them reviewed the drive together, the targeting of George, Charlotte, and Louis became even clearer. The documents revealed that Meghan's alleged planning had involved professional consultants, child development experts, media strategists, and specialists in what the files described as high-value relationship building with limited access individuals. The phrasing was polished, almost businesslike, turning deeply personal matters into what felt like a structured PR campaign. The section on George was the longest, showing plans shaped around his role as future king. It even included outlines predicting how he might handle pressure or deal with public expectations, suggesting ways Meghan could appear supportive through intermediaries, offering understanding and empathy her parents supposedly couldn't. If George ever explored interests that didn't align with palace tradition, the files proposed that Meghan could show public encouragement, building a sense of loyalty and emotional closeness over time. Every possible moment of vulnerability, whether a personal struggle, a family disagreement, or a small public setback, came with a pre-drafted plan for how to respond in ways that could build future influence. It was chillingly strategic. The section on Charlotte took a different route, focusing on her warm, family-centered nature and the possibility that she might one day feel overshadowed by her older brother's royal spotlight. The documents claimed Meghan could present herself as a kind of mentor figure, someone offering advice drawn from her own life experiences. Plans even mapped out potential ways to create natural opportunities for connection, such as through charity projects or causes that Charlotte might feel passionate about. Every approach was described as supportive, designed to look genuine rather than calculated, but the deeper goal was clear: to make sure Charlotte saw Meghan as a friendly, trustworthy presence she could turn to. The files for Louis were much shorter, recognizing that he was still very young, but even so, the same framework appeared, an idea that if approaches to George and Charlotte were resisted, he might become an easier point of access later on. The pattern was unmistakable. It was careful, step by step, and built to last. But then came the most disturbing section: the monitoring network. The flash drive included evidence of a setup involving paid insiders who were allegedly feeding regular updates about the royal children's daily lives. According to the documents, some information reportedly came from former palace staff or parents connected to Lambrook School, offering details about routines, behavior, and even snippets of casual conversation from William or Catherine. One listed individual, identified only as Source 7, 2011, had allegedly received close to £40,000 over an 18-month period in exchange for monthly updates. Even though the children didn't have public social media accounts, the files suggested they were being tracked indirectly through classmates and family acquaintances using advanced data collection tools that pieced together insights from public and semi-private online activity. The documentation also mentioned tracking William and Catherine's parenting styles, education choices, and how much independence they gave the kids, all seemingly to identify where influence could quietly be introduced later. One memo went a step further, and it was shocking. It suggested that if William and Catherine continued keeping tight control over their children's public appearances during their teenage years, it might unintentionally create the exact type of frustration that Meghan could later use to her advantage. The document even claimed that their careful privacy could be spun as suppression, opening the door for someone else to offer a more liberating narrative. But what shook Catherine the most wasn't that. It was another folder entirely. This one contained detailed psychological profiles of each child, written by someone claiming to be an expert in child development and family dynamics. These profiles weren't harmless observations about personality or interests. They went much deeper. They highlighted perceived insecurities, emotional sensitivities, and so-called connection points that could supposedly be used to build trust or dependence on outside figures. Catherine sat frozen, her eyes locked on the screen in disbelief. The tone of the report didn't sound like genuine care or professional guidance. It read more like something out of a corporate intelligence briefing, where personal traits were being analyzed for strategic use. That realization sent a visible chill through the room. As the three of them sat in William's office, the evidence from the flash drive displayed across multiple screens, the weight of what they were seeing began to sink in. This wasn't the kind of matter that could be quietly discussed over tea or handled through polite royal diplomacy. The scale of it was far too big, too invasive to be brushed off or managed with a simple conversation behind closed doors. William stared at the profiles of his children, written like case studies instead of family members. Each file laid out supposed methods for influencing their future emotions, alongside proof of nearly 18 months of quiet monitoring he'd never even noticed. In that instant, his thoughts hardened. His next move would need to be as precise and deliberate as what he'd just uncovered, and completely unyielding. Anything less, in his mind, would mean failing his duty as both a father and a future king. But what William didn't yet realize was that Catherine had already started connecting the dots weeks earlier. For almost 6 weeks, she had been quietly noticing odd coincidences that just didn't feel right. It all started in late October, when Charlotte came home from school one afternoon and mentioned something strange. A classmate's mother had been asking unusually specific questions about the family's upcoming Christmas plans. Charlotte remembered thinking it was odd because the woman seemed focused on where they'd be spending the holidays, how long they'd be there, and who exactly would be with them. At first, it sounded innocent enough, a little nosy maybe, but not alarming. But then, just a few days later, George mentioned something similar. During a school sports event, another parent had casually asked him questions about his father's travel schedule and whether it was hard for the family when William was away for work. The tone had seemed polite, but the questions felt strangely personal, as if they were fishing for something deeper. Individually, those moments could have been dismissed as harmless small talk, but twice in 1 week, that's when Catherine's instincts lit up like a warning signal. Something was off, and she could feel it in her gut. Then came the third incident, and that's when things really escalated. Catherine's personal protection officer quietly reported something unusual. The same person had been spotted near Adelaide Cottage on 3 separate occasions over the span of 2 weeks. Each time, the individual had a reasonable excuse, sometimes walking a dog, other times jogging, but the pattern felt too deliberate to ignore. A discreet background check soon revealed the truth. The person was a private investigator, and their company's website promoted confidential information services. That discovery instantly turned Catherine's quiet unease into full-blown alarm. Still, she didn't rush to tell William right away. She needed solid facts, not just suspicions. Acting on instinct, Catherine reached out to someone she trusted completely, a former MI5 officer who now ran a private security consulting firm for high-profile clients who needed sensitive investigations handled discreetly. Her instructions were short, sharp, and serious. Find out if anyone is actively gathering information on my children. Identify who's behind it. Get proof strong enough to take action if it comes to that. The private investigation that followed lasted 3 tense weeks, and what it uncovered shocked even Catherine. Using trusted contacts across private security networks and law enforcement circles, the investigator pieced together a disturbing picture. At least 5 different individuals had been collecting data and observations on the Wales family, with a clear and unusual focus on the children. There were logs of sightings, shared notes, and even patterns showing how certain people showed up at school events or nearby locations at predictable times. It wasn't random curiosity, it was coordinated. Surveillance was happening. That much was now undeniable. But even with all this evidence, one thing remained frustratingly out of reach: the deeper motive behind it all. The investigator could trace the actions, the people, and the timing, but not the full scope of Meghan's alleged planning hidden behind the scenes. The investigation was able to link the surveillance activity directly to Meghan's team, proving that information gathering was indeed happening. But what couldn't yet be pinned down was why. The files didn't clearly reveal the long-term purpose or the overall strategy behind it all. Still, the confirmation alone was enough to make Catherine's stomach drop. It validated every one of her growing suspicions. But there was something Catherine hadn't yet shared with William. Something she was still struggling to fully process herself. Just 2 days earlier, the investigator had uncovered communication records suggesting that someone connected to Meghan's circle had allegedly tried to recruit a current member of the Wales household staff, offering serious money in exchange for inside updates and ongoing access to private information. That revelation left Catherine completely shaken. What made it even more disturbing was the kind of information that was already being collected. The reports didn't just describe public appearances or harmless observations. They contained personal details about the children's daily routines, their moods, and even bits about how they interacted with each other. These were things that should have been known only to immediate family and a very small circle of trusted staff. Yet somehow, those details ended up in documents traced back to California. Then came the final blow. Catherine discovered she herself had been quietly monitored too. While she wasn't the main target, her parenting choices, daily patterns, and even private conversations she'd had during school events or charity functions had been noted and analyzed. Every single note that hinted at family dynamics or possible weak spots was logged, labeled, and filed away. It was all there, categorized with chilling precision. But as Catherine looked back, what weighed heaviest on her heart wasn't the files themselves. It was her decision to start the investigation without telling William. Their entire relationship had always been built on mutual trust and teamwork, so keeping something this serious from him felt like a crack in that foundation. Still, she convinced herself she was doing the right thing. She wanted to protect him from unnecessary stress until she had real proof, not just instinct and half-formed suspicions. But now, watching William take in the contents of that flash drive, his face shifting between shock, fury, and disbelief, Catherine felt the full weight of it crash down. She'd sensed something was off weeks ago, and she could have warned him sooner. When William finally turned to her and asked if she had known anything before that morning, Catherine took a deep breath and told him everything. No hiding, no excuses. She walked him through the investigators' findings, the strange encounters, and the growing list of red flags she had quietly gathered. His reaction was layered. First came anger that she'd kept such a major secret. Then came understanding of why she did it, and finally, a quiet recognition that she'd been building a case solid enough to demand real action. That realization changed everything. William's expression hardened as the pieces clicked into place. If Catherine had been tracking this for weeks, that meant the situation was already deep, and there was no time left to hesitate. At 10:30 a.m., an emergency meeting was called in one of Kensington Palace's most secure rooms, a space that's regularly swept for any hidden devices and used only when total privacy is non-negotiable. From that moment on, the quiet tension of discovery turned into a full-scale operation. William sat at the head of the long conference table, his face set in cold determination. Around the room, the most incriminating files from the flash drive were projected on several screens, the evidence glowing harshly under the dim lights. Catherine sat right beside him, silent but steady. Across from them were William's private secretary, the head of palace security, the senior legal advisor for the Wales family, and two royal intelligence liaisons, the officials responsible for maintaining coordination with MI5 and other national security agencies. William didn't bother with small talk or polite introductions. His voice was sharp and direct. Meghan Markle has been running an 18-month intelligence-style operation focused on my children. This isn't family tension. This isn't media strategy. This is targeted. The room went completely silent. Then he continued, his tone unwavering. In the next 3 hours, your job is to help me shut this down completely and make sure it can never start again. The head of palace security took the floor first, going over the findings with calm professionalism, confirming what the evidence suggested. This was structured, deliberate monitoring. Then the senior legal advisor raised the inevitable question: what were the legal grounds for action? Information gathering on public figures often lived in a gray zone, especially when it crossed borders and touched U.S. law. But William had come prepared. He pointed to key evidence: the attempted recruitment of household staff, which could qualify as bribery or corruption, payments made for insider information through false representation, potentially falling under fraud, and the presence of unauthorized surveillance around royal properties, a major security violation. Then came his strongest point: the files showing strategic plans to make contact with his children at certain ages. That, he said, could clearly be seen as interference with parental rights and privacy breaches. William leaned forward, his tone turning colder, his words clipped with authority. I want every possible legal angle identified and used. No exceptions. The message was crystal clear. This wasn't just about protecting a public image. It was about defending his family. Princess Anne spoke up suddenly, her tone sharp, her words cutting straight through the tension. She wasn't one to tiptoe around big questions. Legalities were important, she said, but the real issue was strategy. Is this about defense only, she asked bluntly, or about ending this Sussex problem for good? The room went quiet. William took a moment before responding, his voice steady but heavy with intent. The immediate goal, he explained, was to protect his children and stop the surveillance once and for all. But the broader mission was to send a clear and undeniable message that targeting his family came with serious consequences, the kind that would make anyone think twice before ever crossing that line again. And yes, that message would force Harry to truly face where his loyalty stood, once and for all. Catherine, calm but firm, quickly shifted the focus. Her voice broke through the charged air with a touch of compassion. What about the children? She asked. They needed to understand that something important was happening, but without being frightened or feeling unsafe. Her protective instinct was on full display, measured, maternal, and focused only on keeping her kids' world as steady as possible. The private secretary then stepped in, steering the discussion into official protocol. He laid out the constitutional and administrative boundaries, emphasizing that His Majesty would need to be informed before any direct action could take place, and there could be no delays. He continued, noting that the Prime Minister would also have to be briefed, especially if coordination with law enforcement or intelligence agencies became necessary. The scale of the issue had now expanded beyond just family matters. It was touching the edges of government, security, and national image. There was also a bigger picture to think about, how this entire situation might ripple outward, especially when it came to the wider Sussex dynamic, ongoing discussions about Harry's royal status, and even the faint rumors of reconciliation that had been floating around. William's answer came instantly, cold, precise, and without a flicker of hesitation. "My father will be informed this afternoon, the Prime Minister this evening, and as for reconciliation with Harry," he paused, his eyes hardening. "That door just closed, permanently." His tone left no room for debate. The message was crystal clear. He would not pretend to maintain a brotherly bond with anyone tied to a situation that treated his children like pieces in a strategy. No excuses, no second chances. From that moment on, the meeting shifted gears completely. The next 2 hours turned into an all-out planning session, fast, coordinated, and ruthless in precision. Multiple teams began working on different fronts simultaneously, turning royal restraint into full-scale action. The legal team moved first. They began preparing a wave of official filings designed to strike hard and close every possible loophole. Cease and desist orders were drafted for Meghan and her California-based PR firm, demanding the immediate end of all data collection and monitoring activities. Restraining measures were outlined to ensure there could be no direct or indirect contact with William's children through any personal, digital, or professional channel. Then came the civil complaint, meticulously prepared to cover every violation uncovered so far: invasion of privacy, attempted influence over household staff, and emotional harm caused by continuous monitoring. Every document carried one message loud and clear: the line had been crossed, and the response would be absolute. Meanwhile, the Security Division launched a rapid counterintelligence review. Every person listed in the flash drive as a source would be contacted and questioned by either palace security or law enforcement. Those found to still be employed within royal staff were to be dismissed immediately. No warnings, no appeals, no more leniency, no more second chances. The Royal Intelligence Liaison immediately began coordinating with MI5, verifying if any of this crossed into national security territory. The stakes were suddenly higher than ever. This was no longer just a family issue. It had potential national implications. While the intelligence team got to work, Catherine took charge of what mattered most: the family itself. She gathered George, Charlotte, and Louis for a calm, age-appropriate talk. She explained that some adults might ask unusual or overly personal questions, and that if that ever happened, they should always tell her or their father right away. Her tone was steady but reassuring, firm protection wrapped in gentleness. Catherine also volunteered to speak to King Charles personally, offering to handle what would clearly be an emotionally difficult conversation. "Your father will struggle with this," she told William quietly. "He'll want to believe it's all a misunderstanding." She explained that she could present the facts clearly, without emotion or personal attachment clouding the reality of what had been uncovered. William agreed instantly, visibly grateful. He knew Catherine's composure and Princess Anne's no-nonsense directness would be exactly what the king needed to fully grasp the severity of what was unfolding. The final part of the plan turned toward Harry. William decided that any communication with his brother would go strictly through legal channels, ensuring there would be no emotional confrontation or blurred lines. A formal letter would be drafted and delivered through official intermediaries. The letter would outline the full discovery, include documented evidence of Meghan's alleged activities and confront Harry with a clear, unavoidable decision, one that couldn't be denied, debated, or softened. Just facts, just truth. The timeline was tight and deliberate, every move perfectly timed across 2 continents. The legal filings would be submitted before the end of the business day in California, taking advantage of the time difference since their courts would still be open. Meanwhile, in the UK, Palace security began their interviews immediately, wasting no time at all. By 5 p.m. London time, a formal notice would be hand-delivered to Meghan's representatives, arriving just as California was waking up, leaving her team almost no time to regroup or react. The legal offensive was launched with precision and zero hesitation. By 3:30 p.m. that same afternoon, William's legal advisors had completed a full set of documents that would completely change the Sussex situation and put Meghan in a legal position she hadn't anticipated. The entire strategy was multi-layered, a synchronized strike meant to create intense pressure from multiple directions at once. The goal was simple but powerful: force an immediate shutdown of the monitoring operation, while also setting a legal precedent strong enough to stop any future attempts in their tracks. The first major move landed hard: a civil complaint filed in the California Superior Court at 8:40 a.m. Pacific Time. The charges focused on invasion of privacy, emotional harm, and coordinated information gathering. But what made this filing especially impactful wasn't just its legal strength, it was its public visibility. In California, civil filings are public record. That meant within hours, journalists, analysts, and curious members of the public could access it with a simple online court search. William's team knew that full well. They designed the document with that reality in mind. Every line was polished and legally airtight, with evidence laid out in detail. No speculation, no exaggeration, just cold, factual precision. But make no mistake, it was also crafted to hit hard in the public eye, stripping away the polished image that had long surrounded the Sussex brand. The second major filing landed in the UK High Court at 3:45 p.m. London time, and it was powerful. It demanded a full injunction preventing Meghan, her representatives, or anyone connected to her from gathering, sharing, or using any information about William's children in any capacity, ever again. The injunction also strictly banned direct contact with the family and prohibited the use of any data that had already been collected, whether for media work, private communication, or future projects. Included in this filing were data protection orders requiring that every piece of improperly gathered information about the children be surrendered, deleted, and permanently destroyed under official supervision. It was a full legal lockdown. Both the UK and California filings were backed by extensive evidence from the flash drive, each file authenticated by professional digital forensic experts, confirming their legitimacy and ensuring there could be no dispute over authenticity. The foundation of the case was airtight. But then came the third legal strike, and it was even bolder. William's lawyers filed an official complaint with the California State Bar against the attorneys who had allegedly been advising or assisting Meghan's operation. The move sent shockwaves through legal circles. This wasn't just about stopping an action, it was about holding every participant accountable. At the same time, cease and desist letters were dispatched to 17 individuals and organizations named in the documents, delivered both by courier and email to guarantee receipt. Each recipient was clearly warned. Failure to respond or comply would result in individual lawsuits, handled separately and aggressively. The California PR firm involved faced particularly heavy scrutiny. Not only were they included in the main civil case, but they also received a 30-page cease and desist notice outlining every detail of their documented involvement and putting them directly in the legal spotlight. Their reaction spoke volumes. Within just 2 hours, the California PR firm's legal counsel reached out urgently, requesting an emergency call. On the line, the firm's representatives insisted they had only ever provided standard PR and branding services, firmly denying any awareness of actions involving William's children. But William's legal team had anticipated this exact move. Calm and strategic, they presented a structured cooperation agreement. The firm would immediately surrender all documentation, terminate its contract with Meghan's team, and return any advance payments it had received. In return, their cooperation would be formally noted, potentially reducing future legal exposure. It was a smart play, and it worked. That agreement produced something invaluable: a motivated witness and a set of internal documents confirming details the palace had only suspected until now. As the evening settled over London and the morning sun rose in California, the legal machine was already in motion. The filings had been processed, the warning letters delivered, and the pressure spreading fast. Phones were ringing, teams were scrambling, and in Montecito, reality was about to hit hard. At 11:20 a.m. California time, a process server arrived at the Sussex residence, delivering an official letter addressed to Prince Harry. Thinking it was routine paperwork, Harry opened it casually, only to find a document that would shake everything he thought he knew. Written in precise legal language, the letter laid out the findings in undeniable detail. Over 18 months of documented monitoring, strategy papers outlining specific plans, and evidence indicating deliberate intent to connect with George, Charlotte, and Louis in the future. It described the digital infrastructure built to sustain this long-term outreach and attached verified exhibits linking back to the flash drive now secured in palace hands. It also listed the legal actions already launched that very day across both UK and California, outlining the injunctions, complaints, and formal filings that had gone live within hours of discovery. According to someone close to Harry, his first reaction was total disbelief. He simply couldn't process what he was reading. But as he flipped through the attached exhibits, recognizing the tone and language in Meghan's own communications and strategy notes, disbelief slowly gave way to something else: realization. Harry had seen Meghan build media connections before. He'd even admired how she handled publicity in the early days, but never in his worst imagination did he think that same approach would be directed toward his own niece and nephews. Now, staring at the pages in front of him, the reality felt like a punch to the chest. The letter didn't just inform, it demanded a decision. Harry was given 72 hours to respond, and every possible path was laid out with ruthless clarity. Option 1. Publicly acknowledge that Meghan's actions were unacceptable, confirm that he had no prior knowledge, and agree to cooperate fully with the investigation. Option 2. Present evidence showing he had known about her actions, but had tried to intervene, effectively placing himself as a witness against her, a move few could imagine him taking. Option 3. Defend Meghan or stay silent, which would trigger permanent family separation, full withdrawal of royal privileges, and open the door for formal investigations if further evidence emerged. There was no soft language, no comforting phrasing. This was a legal ultimatum, drafted with precision and intent. From the very first line, it made one thing absolutely clear: William wasn't seeking reconciliation or emotional conversation. He wasn't asking for explanations or middle ground. This was about accountability, consequences, and protecting his children above everything else. Harry's reply would be formally recorded and preserved for the ongoing legal process. Whatever he chose to say or not say would become permanent, shaping not only the court's view, but also his place within the royal family itself. There would be no chance to walk it back later. No gentle closure, no way to rewrite what was about to happen. Every sentence in the document was surgically crafted, Every word, every clause, every timeline left zero room for misunderstanding. The letter closed with a final, unflinching line that summed it all up. There was no fourth option, no neutral position, and no way to remain uninvolved. When Harry's situation was stripped of emotion and looked at objectively, the choices before him were brutally clear, and none of them came without devastation. Option 1 was nearly impossible. To acknowledge Meghan's alleged actions and distance himself from her would mean effectively ending the marriage or creating a break so deep it could never truly heal. There was no softer version of that path, no middle ground that allowed him to protect both his family in California and his ties to the royals in London. It was an all-or-nothing decision, and Harry knew it. The moment he realized what that choice would mean, the weight of duty, history, and consequence pressed down on him. Meghan would almost certainly view it as betrayal, and the fallout would be catastrophic. A separation or divorce would seem inevitable, and his relationship with his own children could easily become tangled in years of legal tension and emotional strain. Option 3 was just as merciless. If he refused to condemn Meghan, or if he simply stayed silent, he would instantly lose every connection to his British family. No appeals, no second chances, no behind-the-scenes reconciliation. His father, his brother, his sister-in-law, even his nieces and nephews, gone. His children would grow up without ever truly knowing their royal cousins, without the family bonds that tied generations together. Harry himself would become permanently estranged, not because of scandal or disagreement, but because of a documented decision to stand beside someone accused of crossing one of the deepest moral lines imaginable, targeting children for influence. Then there was option 2, the most complicated of all. On paper, it seemed like a path forward, to cooperate fully and act as a witness, but in reality, that route was almost impossible unless Harry knew far more about Meghan's actions than anyone believed. Taking that step would mean admitting a level of awareness or oversight that could raise new, painful questions and risk even deeper damage. Even if Harry did have proof to share, taking the stand against his own wife would completely shatter the marriage, while offering no promises for cooperating, only a detailed outline of the cost for refusing. The 72-hour deadline was no coincidence. It was deliberately calculated, designed to leave no breathing room, no chance to delay or strategize. Harry couldn't stall. He couldn't quietly work a back-channel deal or form a counterplan with Meghan's team. The message was firm. Decide now. Every hour that passed tightened the walls around him. The entire setup was intentional, forcing Harry into a real, irreversible choice. No PR spin, no emotional appeals, and absolutely no attempts to sway public perception. This wasn't about optics anymore. It was about truth, accountability, and consequences. The ultimatum left no neutral zone, no loophole to hide behind, and absolutely no room for error. When Harry finally showed Meghan the letter, her reaction was immediate and explosive. She went on the defensive, claiming the flash drive had been stolen and the documents were fake or altered. Her voice rose as she argued that William's legal campaign was nothing more than a personal vendetta, a grudge from someone who had never truly accepted her as family. The tone was sharp, defiant, and emotionally charged, but beneath all that fire was something else. Fear. That fear wasn't just about family fallout, it was about what this could mean legally, publicly, and professionally. Meghan knew that once the evidence was out, Her reputation and control over the narrative could collapse fast. Still, she held firm to her claim that any information gathering had only been defensive, an attempt, she said, to protect herself and Harry from palace manipulation and coordinated media attacks. But that story had one major flaw. It couldn't explain the sheer depth and detail of the data on that drive. The documents didn't read like defense, they read like planning. And with that, the stage was set for the most public royal showdown in decades, one driven not by whispers or tabloids, but by legal filings, hard evidence, and a family divided under pressure. If you've been following this saga to the end, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for part 2, where things are about to get even more intense. This story is far from over.